Why did the children of Israel erect a golden calf and worship it? We know that whenever the children of Israel left Egypt, there was still a part of Egypt that was with them. In fact, we know very well that there were Egyptian people, citizens of Egypt, pagans, who were not Hebrews, who were not children of Israel, that joined themselves to the congregation as they were leaving Egypt. They saw the same miracles that the children of Israel saw. As well, they too wondered why that Moses had left and had not returned on the day that they thought that he was going to return. And because that the Torah tells us that Moses delayed his coming somewhat, they decided to erect themselves their own gods. They did so out of the golden earrings of the people. And it's interesting, the Bible tells us that they worshiped it and that they played, which is an indication of the types of sins that they were committing there around this idol as a form of worship. Aaron went along through with it. Their ungodly counsel poisoned his mind and poisoned his way of thinking also. This brings us to a conclusion that there are some people who are just poisonous. They have a venom inside of them that even though they would argue that they are giving godly counsel and spiritual counsel to you, and they might have the cloak of spirituality upon them, yet at the end of the day, they're not living according to God's word. They're not walking in obedience to God's word, and they're certainly not flowing in the Spirit of God himself. So I want to caution us today to be careful of poisonous influences that can very easily edge their way in to our life, even into our congregation. If it could happen to the children of Israel, who were compassed about with great miracle signs and wonders, who experienced a great revival, a great deliverance on that day, yet still there were poisonous people that worked their way into the congregation of Israel and caused them to fall by the wayside. We've got to be very careful about what kind of influences that we allow inside of our circle. That doesn't mean that we don't love everyone. It doesn't mean that we don't appreciate everyone. And some people may be noble in their intent, but yet at the same time, they're not walking in obedience to God's word. And that is important for us to remember. So we know that the Bible is really peppered with many influences that were not godly, that tried to edge their way in to the minds and to the psyche and into the heart and spirit of God's people. Amnon had a friend named Jonadab. We know that there were so many influences that were allowed. Samson allowed Delilah to come and sit in his lap, essentially. It's interesting that all of these things happened, and it was God's people who were influenced. That's the reason why the psalmist said, "Blessed is the man who walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away." I pray that we will all choose our company wisely and choose our counsel wisely. And to the best of our ability, let us not be infected by the poison and the venom of ungodly influences. May God bless each and every one of you today. Shalom.